It's been a while. We are here to do a brief update. I have had a lot of members chiming in and actually express this is even people that go way back, and they've been discussing the fact that this energy is really quite perplexing, and it's giving us a bit of confusion. Now, this technically is a brand new beginning. I am cleaning up behind the scenes because I just previously had a reading today. So I'm tidying up before I come on the screen. I have PM'd my members. For those of you that don't know, we do have a membership. You can go into apply for it via our website. The information will be directly below. And I'm going to talk about a few things that are going to be on offer in that membership, which I have actually been discussing with the members about some of these things that we are actually going to be offering. Now, for some of you, we're going to chuck the chat up on the screen. So for those of you actually watching later, you can actually see some of the chat and what's going on. And we can have a talk about how these transits are playing out, what to be aware of, where some of these things are going to be branching over into next month, and some of that energy you might be picking up on right now. I can say the Mercury energy is going to be going retrograde, and it's going to move between two signs, Sagittarius and Scorpio. We also do have a bit of volatility. Like, this directly isn't a terrible moon. I'm going to quickly jump to the transits and have a brief look. At the moment, what do we have? We have the sun at 28 degrees, which technically is the critical degree. So the direction, your attention, you're probably trying to be balanced, okay? You're probably trying to be balanced. It's also a new moon. So new moons aren't necessarily bad. It is almost at that critical degree. It's 27 degrees. And we should have that for, I would say, 24 hours. Let me check the other chart and where it's going to move on the 22nd. Neptune also will leave Aries tomorrow, and it's going to move back into Pisces. So if you do get foggy and you start freaking out, some of you might have made some major decisions, and you might be all of a sudden, and for some of you, this can be coming in right now. It might be that you feel like you're being put in between a rock and a hard place. You need to get some balance in your life. A lot of us also, having Saturn back in Pisces, for some of you, it could have been a bit of a Debbie Downer. For others of you, and I can't believe it, I truly said, for others of you, it might be that you're reassessing those areas that we've already gone over. Now, we had a brief introduction with Neptune and Saturn together, really trying to bring that introduction into what 2026 is going to be. Now, moving out of that place and back into where we were before, we kind of felt very bold, we were very vivacious. There was always that concern that we were going to have narcissistic tendencies when we had the North Node in Aries. But something very interesting, if you do look at it from a different perspective, is Aries in Chiron stays in that position, in that house, in that zodiac sign longer than it does in any other zodiac sign, because theoretically we have more work to do. Now, what is the place of Aries? It is the place of self. So you're going to have it somewhere in your birth chart. We have 12 houses in our birth chart. Where that is, we have been doing an immense amount of work. Many times it might have been that we feel very insecure about those things. It can be where we have some inability. Sometimes it can even be a disability, like we can't, we look at the energy of Chiron. It is also developing us. So where we had maybe a sense of self in a particular area, and it wasn't like we looked at it as lacking or wounded, maybe because people didn't respect it, they didn't understand it. What we can find is it's helped develop us over the last few years, where we then can be teachers in particular areas, and it can give us something. It can give other people something as well. So what we went through, maybe we may be able to empathize with another person and aid them in that, and maybe guide them in a better way than maybe what we actually did. And that's a very brief overview of it. But the one thing I can say is it's setting us up for 2026. So although we can look at things and feel like, oh my gosh, what are we moving into in 2026? It isn't going to be like this year, but that's not to say it won't come with challenges. This new moon is, I said this last year. A lot of us make New Year's resolutions for New Year. And it can feel like some of those things that we're wanting to do in a sense of balance are unmanageable, not feasible, not within our limits. Now, this year has been very exhausting. We had a lot of planets retrograde. We had a lot of planets moving houses. You get the axis of Pisces and Virgo, which we call the nodes. That was the nodal energy we were in. In one side, we were needing to go with the flow, tapping into our spirituality, faith. On the opposite spectrum of it, we went into analysis paralysis. So we were oscillating between the two positions. And it was very psychological for us, and it still is at this point in time. So being that we're having Neptune dip back into Pisces, it can be two things. Now, for some of us, we can get up in our heads. We can get very scared. For others of us, we might get to a place where we're saying to ourselves, okay, I want to revisit some dream. Is there a different way to structure it? And I think this is going to be quite healthy for us if we can look at it from that position. The shadow energy of Mercury going retrograde, some of the subjects we can have is transportation. This can be anything down to planes, trucks, boats, submarines, because we do also have Neptune and Pisces, Saturn and Pisces, North Node and Pisces. So subjects to do with water can be in the media. When we look at the Libra axis, it can be to do with particular countries. So we may see China up in the news. We also might be looking at how do we balance. It could be anything down to, and again, this isn't legal advice. These are ways that these things can turn out. It might be that we're looking at our physical relationships at a very personal level. We might be looking at how to balance. This can be marriages, contracts, partnerships. What money and resources do we have at our disposition? How do we create balance in our most intimate connections? And, a connection is just not a romantic relationship. It is Venus in nature. So it could be time when we are starting a new chapter and looking at our contracts, looking at our partnerships, looking at different ways that we actually can pivot and change to have a fresh start. And it might be that we're needing to turn over a new leaf. Now, the difficult thing we're going to be having is the position of Scorpio. Now, I actually have quite a bit of I've got positions of Scorpio in my chart, so I'm quite accustomed to this. Was not fun, has not been fun in life, based on positions. I had a lovely co-worker, as I do two jobs at this point in time, and they were like, oh, I don't like Scorpios. And I was like, yeah, but you got to understand, you've actually got that in your chart. We do have these positions in our chart somewhere. So we get these cliches and kind of cement things into boxes, but the demeanor, the attitude, where it's positioned, it all takes on a different context when you look at it a bit deeper. So what subjects can we have coming up with Scorpio? Now, the position at the moment that we do have at the moment Mercury in Scorpio. That is directly where it's going to be retrograding. Now, again, there's a lot of house crap coming up here. Now, that can be tax, debt, legacies, inheritances. Might be with the Virgo axis of the South Node. You've got some paperwork to do. You need to look at data. I feel we have to balance both Pisces and Virgo at this point in time. We are getting further away from that eclipse. We will be working through these areas for 6 months. So it might be that a decision that you're making at this point in time in that Libra axis of balancing the scale, the South Node could be that you're needing to be, because the shadow sign of Libra is Aries, which is coming up in the chart at the moment. When we do look at the subject matter surrounding Mercury, we're going to be asked to rethink this, asked to revisit it, asked to review it, to go backwards, to go forwards. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. We're also emotionally needing to go deeper. We're needing to go into what is hidden behind the surface. I do predict that during this retrograde, there's going to be a lot of exposure. because it is in the house of Scorpio. Things that were hidden, it's almost like getting the skeletons out of the closet, quite metaphorically. They're going to come out of the closet. So, airing the dirty laundry. Some of you are going to want to keep your plans to yourself because you feel it is logical to, in that Mercury notion, keep it private. So if that's your intuition and you're feeling you're needing to, do such. However, during a retrograde, some things can come out. As to the Sagittarius energy, because it is going to move between two signs from here, moving into November, what we do need to get is, again, two subjects: trade. There can be, what other things? Social media, online presence, what we're doing. Jupiter also can be to do with the expansion of subjects. Now, the other position we do have Scorpio is Mars, and it's at 20 degrees. Mercury is at 20 degrees. They're both matching here. So I would also say with this, emotionally, we can be quite volatile. So to be cautious with that, but to have a deeper understanding of where this anger is actually coming from. Now, it doesn't have to be that every single one of us is going to get pissed. Some of us could get to a space that we are feeling as though we can feel quite vulnerable. Some old codependency can come up. We might, again, where Mars is, it can also be quite creative. You'll always get the yin to the yang with Mars. There will be, it's like the angel and the devil. You will have in situations with Scorpio where there's a hero and there's a villain. Now, Mars in Scorpio can be, again, we can have subjects in particular countries. We also can have victims. I would say check your use-by dates of food with Mercury retrograde. So you want to make sure that your food is clean and hygienic, because Scorpio with the tail is poisonous. So it could be a tummy bug. It might be food that's off. Use by dates, checking them, making sure that if you feel something's up, you're going and checking it, and you're being cautious with that. Making sure that if you've got chemicals, you're putting them away behind locked doors where little hands can't grab them. So you're being mindful of that. Also could be for those of you in hotter areas, snakes, scorpions, being careful of those things. Separately, again, we are feeling very like we've held something in too long. And so that Mars energy can be used in a very healthy way to keep things behind closed doors, to work very hard. Just don't burn yourself out. With the North Node and the South Node in Virgo, many of us are spent. And so we're like an oily rag trying to use the energy of what's left. The shadow work energy also can be to do with marriage, to do with partnerships. What have you done? What do I get? And so with that axis and the new moon can bring those emotions up to push through, to have your new beginning in those areas with a relationship, with a partnership, with a contract, highly onyx. And, you've got to be careful about what you're going to expose. Sometimes through these pressure points of these new beginnings, we may prematurely jump. So we need to really meditate upon this at the moment, but it is going to be a new beginning. For a lot of us, especially moving into 2026, some of you might have been really second-guessing yourself. Well, this could have been in a contract or a partnership. It might be like, what am I doing here? Oh, but then the codependency can come up. Oh, but, this is safe. This is, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe I'll just keep doing what I'm doing at the moment. A lot of us are going to have these transitions and transformations next year. So if your intuition has been coming up, I want you to pull your birth chart. For those of you who don't know how to do it, you can book a reading with anyone. There's hundreds of YouTubers that cover astrology. It could be some in your own country. If you don't know where to look, you can type into Google AstroSeek birth chart. So I'll type it here. I believe there's some links, actually. I love you, StreamYards. They had this. I just can't keep up at the moment with technology. It's literally doing my head, and I'm changing. Since last year, I have changed so many things. It's like I've had to rebuild from the ground up again. It's been ridiculous. Now, StreamYards most recently, big shout out to StreamYards. I'll put it here. Let me type it. Okay, and I'll grab the icon. AstroSeek birth chart. And the beautiful thing is they offer you, even though I would prefer to be able to put my own custom logo, not StreamYard. So I appreciate you doing that, StreamYards, but, you know, it's not really business savvy. It will be up here to the corner. Now, my right is probably your left. So the QR code's up here, and that is where you can get your birth chart. And you basically, what you need to do is type in your date of birth, the country, location, etc. At a base level, if you can't get your chart done by somebody who can, a chart rectifier, I think it's called, bear with me. Sometimes you can actually do it yourself by checking certain things that have happened in certain times if you have that savviness with your astrology. If you don't know the time, you can just place unknown and it'll give you a base level. Look to your chart of where you see Aquarius and Leo, okay? Because as we do move into next year, one of the eclipses that's coming up in January is going to be in Aquarius, and those subjects are going to be something to focus on. So some of you intuitively might be picking up on some of these things right now, that there's a change. I need to change. Penny Little, the sky's falling down. And tell me, you know, have you guys been feeling this energy where you feel you need to change and something's shifting? I'll wait for a couple of you to mention. One of the added things I am going to be adding to our membership, which there's going to be some webinars I will be hosting via the website. I have not had time yet to put them up. I'm trying to make sure that it's manageable, it's effective to what is going to service you guys and help you guys. So if you have thought I've been MIA, I have been, but not, okay? I'm building things out so that next year it can flow effectively, the offers, I'm more present as per se. So it has just taken a bit. Initially, yes, it was that I wanted to bring the new moons, the full moons, the eclipses, and all the rest of it. But this build out, honestly, this new rebuild out plus juggling the two jobs, it's just been very difficult. So where intuitively I can this year, I will be coming live, but you will start seeing some events popping up where it comes to the transits, the new moon, the astrology, the energy updates and predictions. One of the things I've mentioned to the members is that we are going to be having a newsletter that is going to be free. That can be accessed via the website. You can sign up to it, and it's going to give you a PDF per month. Some of it may include videos. So if you want to sign up to that, you can grab that. I have got the landing page there for it. And yes, the links actually work now. It's always important to check these links. Even if it says it works, you've got to test them out. Separately, I want to start adding, which is something that the members and I discussed. I think it was, 2 days ago, yesterday. I did a mini update for the, what could we call it? Wealth astrology? Yeah, I think it was wealth, because I think a lot of that is going to be something that people do actually focus on next year. Some of it in the collective also from the Libra axis. We're looking at money, you know, Virgo, South Node, banking. We're looking at, okay, where's the wealth at? How do I stabilize myself? So I'm going to be opening up a room inside our membership so that we directly in small groups can break it down in transits. Maybe with those groups, we actually can look over their charts and where the monetary offers are. And we'll look at everything down to gold, silver, Bitcoin, what the charts say, and the predictions are. So if that's something you're interested in, we may bring some of that to YouTube. Give us a heads up. Anyway, any questions? So what have you guys directly been dealing with with these transits? How have you been feeling this energy? Anyone been feeling angry? The need for change in my approach to many things. Yeah, it makes sense, Leonix, because the axis next year is going to be very much 7th house for you. And it's Scorpio, so it can be scary. But it also can, it's almost like it's calling for change. It's going to change. So we have two ways we can deal with Pluto. And trust me, I speak from a lot of experience because I've got Scorpio on my chart. And, you know, I've lived through a yucky placement of Pluto in the previous transit. Change or be dragged. So if you directly have control and you know it needs to change and you're getting the signature and you don't go with it, it's going to force you to change anyway. And it's for women. Partner is angry. Where do they have Aquarius, Sanj? Yeah, the housing aspect of things is it's a bit of a catchy one, that one, because, you know, you work and you get the housing. It's like, it's almost like if you go past a threshold, then you can't have it. So it's catch-22. Hi, Tracy. Yeah, and I think, look, the thing is, Jupiter, let's have a look at the dates. I'll give you the dates. So we have where are we? So we have, at the moment, Sun's in Libra, Moon's in Libra, emotions both sides, but attention and focus is there. Wanting, desiring balance and harmony. We'd all love everyone to just sing kumbaya together, you know, especially in family, because what's Moon? It's family. It's 27 degrees, so close to the critical degree. Balsamic moon phase. Mercury is in Scorpio, very deep. It's almost like we can get paranoid. We can be very codependent. You know, this push-pull dynamic. We can be talking about tax, debts, legacies, inheritances. We can be like, what can we leave our kids? It can be deep, okay? We can be talking about things that nobody knew about. Some secrets can come out. It is a new beginning. Now that Mercury can be getting a lot done, fixing, doing repairs. A lot of you are probably working on your houses or trying to and getting sidetracked. Creative energy can be coming out as well at the minute, where we're wanting beautiful aesthetics. You know, we're wanting to start really caring for our appearance. We're probably feeling with all this fatigue, we really haven't cared for our appearance. But the image of the home, we're wanting things pleasant. We're wanting things pretty. We want a zhuzh. I don't know. Opposite of Moon would be Aries. Okay, so on the opposite side of the spectrum, but that would be, yeah. So at the moment, the shadow sign of the moon is already Aries. Okay, Aries. I do believe over the years, especially with where the nodes were, and we had the Great Conjunction, I just believe the zodiac signs that had the nodes within their sign, they've changed forever. They're not the same. It's almost like they've swapped. Tell me if you agree. Because a lot of the personality traits, probably because Aries and Chiron is there, it's developing a sense of self. And so it's almost like in this rebirth of who we are, we might come out a little bit and then go back into that old polarity, because it's bringing up the shadow side. Doesn't necessarily have to be a negative thing. It can be more, we need to balance both. So Libra probably needs to be more assertive and Aries needs to be more balanced and selective of maybe who they, and requiring individuals to be independent. So it could be that Aries have attracted a lot of people that are quite codependent and then therefore believe everyone's codependent and vice versa. So there's this need to harmonize, but to actually see the mirror in the situations. Now, we also have Lilith, which is really causing a bit of issues. It is in the house of Scorpio. Okay, so is Lilith a bad guy? Maybe. It's shadow, okay? Being okay to be private, being okay to have some needs, but also being okay to keep a secret if you need to, but not requiring everyone to tell you everything then. So Pluto in Aquarius is already, giving us some kind of signatures about what's about to go down next year. Venus at the moment. Where's Venus at? We have her sitting in Libra at 9 degrees. So again, our money, we're needing to harmonize our money. We're needing to, care for ourselves a bit more. We're probably wanting to come into more balance. Jupiter in Cancer is at 24 degrees. And we were looking at some of the transits based around Bitcoin, gold, silver, values, trade, how the countries were going to go with this. And we'll probably break that down a little bit further. So Mercury is going to be bouncing between. We've probably got a few more days. By the time we get to the 29th, Mercury is going to move into Sagittarius again. But we are already picking up on some of that shadow. Now, Pluto, as of the 14th, has it gone shadow direct? We'll have to look at the direct retrogrades and directs. 11th of November. Oof, that's going to be interesting next month. Jupiter will go retrograde the 11th of November. So that part there is going to be interesting. And the thing that I had mentioned at the very beginning of the year is get your bloody Christmas presents. Because with these retrogrades and Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius and then dipping into Scorpio, there can be some delays with postage. So if you're getting something, be it it's in your own country, you want to get that done ASAP. Because it is going retrograde. Mercury's going to go retrograde. We're going to have Jupiter going retrograde, which is okay. If something comes in on a plane, it could be slightly delayed. And, I always find in the direct retrograde, it's messy. We're kind of in it and we're frustrated in the middle setting, although I do think this one could be quite interesting. And then as it goes direct, even the week after, so much mess, so much pickup. I mean, even in the industry I work in on both within YouTube and my personal business, as well as the side, the other job, the truck driving. The retrogrades aren't fun, okay? Nor are the directs, because then you're cleaning the mess up. So it's a catch-22. You want to be prepared for that. So this can be a good time if you know where Libra is in your birth chart. Those areas will bring up the subject matter, and you will want a new beginning in that area. You will be receiving a new beginning. It can be for a bit where you are actually having revelations even a couple of days after. It can be like, no, I need to start a new chapter here. I need to do a change and a shift. Do you feel me? Now, where is May to the 14th of October? Yeah, okay, so it's shadow direct, it's still slow. Pluto is direct as of the 14th of October, but it goes station and it's shadow direct, so it's already in its direct motion. So again, we are picking up on those frequencies of next year's energy. True, I agree about Lilith. Leo moon isn't Aquarius the opposite? Yes, but in a birth chart, it might be different. We'll have to double check. The shadow sign is, so yeah. So, next year, again, it's group energy, it's astrology, it's space, nuclear. These are the subjects of Aquarius at a very basic level. But it could be hidden things as well. We always get light and dark, and we will effectively have, Saturn and Neptune moving back over, and Uranus and Gemini. Uranus is, I don't know what date that moves. Let me double check when it moves back into Taurus. Has it done it already? I mean, because I was hitting the cookie jar the other night. I was like, bloody Uranus and Taurus. 6th of September, Gemini. What day? Let me see. Yeah, there you go. So next month. So we have Uranus will be in Taurus, back November the 7th. So November's pretty active. And then it's going to retrograde. Okay? Fun. Again, things to do with Venus, things to do with money, things to do with trade, things to do with agriculture. In a review, what you want to look for is when it moves. Then it's real serious. So if you need to get things in order, think back to where we had the eclipse. What subjects were you looking at? Think back to 2024. Around September then, what were your hopes? What were your hopes? What were you wanting to do? Have you achieved them this year? Pisces has restricted you. It's been pretty intense because we've had Neptune, the dream, and Saturn, the restrictor. And it's retrograde, it opens the gates. It's a bit more. And how can I give you an example? Okay, in the retrograde, we had a lot of rain. We had a lot of water. Pisces. In the direct, limitation of eggs and chickens. So moving into Aries, it restructures it. And Saturn does actually reward you, but what it does is it makes you pull tight in and restructure and be adult, be mature, so you sometimes you feel like you're suffering. Uranus and Gemini will create a lot of changes in that industry. A lot of people will be changing employment between now and next year and having to find different ways. You know, I remember even having a chat to Angela and to Chris, and we talked about this. Oh, gee, this would have been like 4 years ago. Hi, Dale. And I literally was saying, with the transits happening in Aries, where we might have depended on a government or something else, we were going to need to be really independent. You know, North Node was in Aries. And when it was moving into that sign, it's like a giraffe being born, and we're trying to get our bearings with it. And it's the North Node is usually something we're not incredibly good at. And we also had Chiron in Aries. So we at times felt very boisterous, and, you know, we were kind of coming out of the gate really abrupt and loud and maybe narcissistically so. And the opposite spectrum, I was like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And we might have observed in the collective selfishness, but there's a healthy way to do this, and it's about being independent. Is how can I, within my power, do something that is actually developing a skill, growing my confidence, providing personal structure and security, resilience and independence, you know. So I feel we had 101s the previous transit. Chiron and Aries has been aiding us with this. It's been developing, you know, it's like poking the doll, poking the fly screen, so that you're getting to this space that you've got to address these areas. And moving out the gate into 2026, Saturn and Neptune's going to be there. So I have said to people, especially those that are coach, those in the membership, it's like, look to your chart of where you have Aries. And if you're doing something in that one house that you really don't like, you better get out of Dodge, because you're going to be stuck with that energy for 3 years. You're better off to be, and, you know, it's a little bit like, here's an example. A lot of Aries have said to me, Gee, you know, I've kind of gone backwards, you know, and I've gained weight. I'm like, you're going to be fine next year. You'll be fit. Why? Because Saturn restricts, and it's retrograde and might kind of loosen up a bit and going, we've been a bit too rigid here. But it restricts. It could be that your appetite just goes. It might be that, you're getting fit. And we had that ingress into Aries with Saturn and Neptune. And a lot of people were actually reporting it was actually working, and then dip back into Pisces, and there we go again. So as it moves on a positive level, for instance, it might be that you have more success in that area, but it could be through direct particular actions. Is that a good example? Do you get what I'm saying? So for some things, if the sacrifice, if the buck is worth the grind, you're gonna feel more like, no, I'm intentionally choosing this. And for me, I know the Pisces placement, for instance, and for some of you, it could be that you're consciously making a sacrifice right now, even though you probably wouldn't want to, but you're doing it because it's giving you something, but you're aware it's not permanent. Does that make sense? Action has been. So, yeah, it's different to be a victim in a circumstance and go, how did this happen? Over, yeah, technically, I know I am a victim, but at the same time, I'm doing it because I'm actually going to get something out of it, but I'm biding my time and I'm going to do something different. Does that make sense? I hope this lands. I hope I'm just not mumbling. How are you, Mystical Lily? Now, as to nutrition, be very cautious of blockages. Great time to detox. We've got Mars in Scorpio, a lot of base chakra activation, a lot of heart chakra. So, eating things that are going to be clearing you, keeping your hydration up, your back as well, your back, your bones, you're going to feel aches. So, hydration, consciously listening to your body. Some of you also in the last few days might have been a bit ADHD and wanted to get everything done. We had the moon in Virgo. Angela, did you love it? I got so many things done. I probably should have rested my body because I really am exhausted. But what did I do? Just too much. Deb does try. I told her I cooked 2 meals, renovated things. It was back in the day, like everyone used to say, ADHD. But the moon in Virgo is doing me wonders. I was probably burning myself out, but I was like, yeah, man. And health kicks, like it's literally like, nope, got to do the right thing, hygiene, looking after being super conscious of what we're eating. Yeah, a lot of people have been reporting it. Look, I had Ross River back in the transits, which is going to be with me for life technically. And, it kind of slipped my mind. Sometimes I might do a particular action. Like I jumped off the wall the other day and I literally laughed at myself because I was the most flexible person before Ross River. And I looked like an old lady. It was just bloody funny, but it was only one side. It was the left knee. And I was like, oh, okay. And again, it's to do with the flushing. So again, thank you to Giggle Glimmer. She gave me frankincense years ago. Having that again, like just flushing. It's like, okay, we're going back again. Saturn retrograde and Pisces, get that hydration going. Rebuilding and rebranding. Yeah, so I think my sister said it as well. She said her back was hurting. I have been, a couple of co-workers, aches and pains. It should ease up. We also have a lot of solar flares coming in at the moment. So generally speaking, especially if the Schumann's rising, you'll tend to feel that before it's happened. So if you have an acceleration of anxiousness, it's going to be that the Schumann is up. It has already, for some of you, especially if you're very tuned in. Other people can be like feeling like you got the bends. I remember back in 2017, 18, I think it was, we had Chiron and Pisces. My ascension process, I literally would just want to all of a sudden throw up. But it's like the bends. And the whole reason I started looking at the chakras and astrology was so that through my awakening process, I was like, I need to know when this is going to happen. I've got to be prepared. This is like a wave. It's like being in a car and it's going over a hill and you're like, wow, where did that come from? So understanding where those dips and spikes are has absolutely done me the world of good, because a little bit like you want to duck for cover. Hi, Dawn. How you doing, sweet? Oh, where's Libra for you, Cosmic Jenny? We do have the axis of Scorpio, so keep that in mind. What's that term that we use? Whatever you resist persists, but also there is a likelihood that we can become a little bit disillusioned and scared of some decisions we're making. Just say to yourself, this is actually going to pass. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Get out of your bloody head, because it is part of the transit, but it's likely it can happen. Give it a couple of days and it's going to pass. If you feel, very bold, like, yes, this is what I'm doing, I've got to move into this direction, try and trust that process. If you don't have all the details, Virgo, pause for a couple of days. The data's going to come to you. You'll understand what you need to do and how you're going to go about actually moving through that. Because I do think a lot of times, it was somebody that actually said this to me, and I directly relate there. And I think that's one thing of Aries and Chiron is you have to walk a mile in another person's shoes to understand how they operate. And so a lot of times when we are afraid of what we're doing, it's because we're actually too far ahead. So it could be that you make a decision. It could be you're in a real toxic relationship and you're like, I have to leave this situation. I think a lot of us can relate to that in the past. You might have been in a very toxic environment when you need to leave a circumstance. And every time you were ready to go and you were being bold, somehow you'd subconsciously talk yourself out of it. Because why? Because we tried to plan when a feeling is a feeling and an action is something totally different. And they kind of merge together and get very messy. So sometimes you have to acknowledge your feelings and the rest will take care of itself as it goes. And sometimes it's just that first, it's a little bit like pebbles. You're here and say to yourself, say this is a job or a shitty relationship and you're like, this makes me want to vomit. It could be going to a job and you want to puke before you go to work, okay? Acknowledge that. That's the first step. The second step is all I need to do is go here and I can work it out when I'm grounded, which can mean leaving it. Sometimes if you can buy yourself some more time, which is what some of you guys are going to be doing from this point to this point here, you're going to go, okay, I acknowledge the feeling. Take a deep breath. Now, I have a bit of time, so we can do this two ways. We can jump right now because you're in the witch's cauldron and you're burning. You have to. That's a given. Do that then. Come over here. Give it a couple of days, work it out. Could be staying at a friend's house. It might be biding yourself some time, giving yourself a couple of days to get grounded. Then when you come up for air, you don't go back begging for the job, the person, the place, the thing. You pause. You then go, I'm going to give myself a few days and then I'm going to make an action plan, but I'm not going to think about it right now. I'm going to think about me. I'm going to be selfish. I'm going to sit here on this little, what would they call it? What's that? The frog paddy? I'm in the middle of the emotion on the paddy, the Chiron paddy. I'm just going to sit here. Shh. When I'm calm, I then can make a plan to go to the third station. Okay, it's like a game. Now, when we do this, I've got to do this, I've got to do that. That's going to freak you out. How is that going to help anyone? It doesn't work. How many of you can relate to that? So many times we're too many steps ahead. Pisces is trying to teach us, acknowledge the emotion. Just go with the flow, it'll go away. Then the Virgo energy comes in. It's shit. No, it's not. It's good. No, they're great. It's like, if your friend comes to you and they say to you, you can be on the phone to your girlfriend, this person is X, Y, and Z. And then the next day, you're skipping down the road and then your friend's like, what's going on here? Denial. No, it's okay. I'm happy. I'll just stay here. Scorpio. We can't fake it, okay? So bear with your friends when they go through that. For some of you, if you've gone through awoken stages, you have been it yourself, okay? And sometimes we even hate our own guts when we do it ourselves. We're like, why do I do this? I'm my own worst enemy. Okay, nobody's perfect. Nobody is perfect. Let go of that. Let go of it. It's not doing you any favors. Come back to now and say, what's my dream? And I think a lot of times we dream too small. I'll be quite frank with you. And it can be because of some experience we've had with maybe hung out with a friend, or it could have been a parent figure. Forgive them, they know not what they do. And we can go, okay, I need to think bigger. And sometimes it's who we circle ourselves with is what it actually creates. So, I hear a lot of YouTubers talking about, and I am constantly investing in my mind and myself. It can be free. There's hundreds of YouTube channels. Go and listen to channels that bring you up. But don't live in a delusional Neptune world either. Look at reality in life as well. For some of us, when we're going through ascension processes, moon energy, transits, the real world, we don't want to see the yuck, but the yuck does exist. So can we live in that and have balance? We can, but we have to be in the right mind frame. And Pisces is asking us also to look after our psychology. Does that make sense? So, keys for actually making decisions. Acknowledge the fact that you've been saying it to yourself 100 times. If there's one area you've been wanting to do or change, it's your work, it's where you want to live, it's whatever. And there's 100 excuses. Ditch the excuses and find the solution. And it could just be one step. Don't put a time frame on it. You'll get there 100 times quicker than putting a time frame on it. I promise you that. Because that one step, it's like a domino. They all stack up, right? They're like this. And that one step, you're like, oh, I made this one step. And then you do the second one. And you're like, oh shit, I did the second step. And before you know it, you have a domino effect. And it's like a modern day Bitcoin account. And I'm not subscribing to, I'm just giving you an example. Before you know it, there's more there. It could be, we could talk bank accounts, but hey, currency rates these days suck. So we won't go there. Should we pull a couple of cards? So how are we feeling about the moon? Are we motivated? Do we feel that we want to, again, be mindful of the Scorpio placement? I'd also say on the level of Mercury and Mars, I do feel some cold cases are going to be solved. Anything down to serial killers, I truly believe we may find. It could be finding people. It might be finding bodies, cracking cases, exposure of people that have done wrong things, like illicit affairs and things like that. What's the other thing? Yes, be careful of your safety. Mars and Scorpio can be serial killers. Just be aware of your surroundings. Check your account security. Make sure, for instance, your logins are good. Security with your house. Be careful if you live in a snake-prone zone. Check the use-by dates of your food. I hope I'm giving enough tips. Am I giving enough tips? Like I said, go and check your birth chart. Put unknown time or 12, and it should give you the basic if you don't know. That link there will take you to astroseek.com for your birth chart. Pause me. Thank you, StreamYards. I appreciate the links. Every time I log into StreamYards, one thing I would like is if it was without the duck in the middle. I mean, I love StreamYards, but, do we have to have the duck? Could you imagine if my head was in the middle of it? No. So anyway, how many of you have actually been experiencing things with people around you and you're like, oh. Some of you might have even been in the Libra energy. Let's just keep the peace. You could be, and a lot of us can be actually relating to things differently to what we used to do before. We can be looking at people and forgetting the shit we've gone through. You might have gone through a lot of crap. You could be further along than them. You might be projecting and thinking that they're where you are and they're not. Just forgive them. Some of you, it could be that we need to let go a bit, and we need to let them get to where they need to be when they get there. And I think it's our belief that we could actually save them to some skip steps. How do we know by letting go they won't skip the step themselves? Trust the process, and again, look at the shadow energy. Is there something coming up with Scorpio for you? Control. Okay. Reflection. We're deep in reflection. Taking a mental. Okay, reflection. Now, this could be for people around you. Take it as you will. It's a romance card, so it could be for romance subjects. But it's reflection. So we're reflecting, but is the reflection, this is one thing I'm going to say to you guys, we've mentioned it before, don't get into the mental entanglement of freaking yourself out before you take the first step. If you need a couple of days to think about it, think about it. But you are having a new beginning. Reflection. Give each other some space at the moment. Trust and have faith that all will work out for the best. Okay? Now, look at that. Lightning, thunder. Let the emotions come to the surface. Moon as emotions can be subjects to do with mother and family, legal contract, reciprocity in the give and take. Okay. The good old do unto others as you wish done unto you. Look deep within your heart and you will feel my love. My love for you is as deep as the ocean. And this can be in all people. I literally I mentioned this to the members last night. I used to come onto YouTube every hour of the day through my twin flame separation. I was here at 3 a.m. I was here at 1 a.m. I was here 24 fucking hours a day. Anywho, it had been a while, and especially working 2 jobs since 2020, having to balance things out was like, okay, I know a lot of YouTubers that were here for years and years and years and had to get a second job. I do. Now, in that, I do believe there's something in that spiritual energy, and some of you could be going through this as well. Maybe you went away from a hope, a dream, and aspiration, had to go towards another to find balance and harmony. And you might find, especially those of you that are guides, you could find that maybe you weren't guiding because there was an aspect in this North Node in Pisces, which is the collective's personal awakening. And so there are times, and those who seek the guidance can, but it is an inner demon process. Okay, so if you had felt lost, not loved, not cared for, you will find a lot of TFs will be coming back. People from the past will be coming back, but the shadow work also is very normal. Okay. Now, the unconditional love, somebody mentioned this the other day, and they were like, how can you love somebody if they don't love you? Who knows? Have you heard they do or don't? Can you unconditionally love someone even if they treated you poorly? You can, but you also can create a boundary. So, anyway, the YouTube energy went on to the live, and I was just looking for who was live, and I was like flicking through. And it's interesting. Can you watch a channel if their belief systems are not in the same alignment as you? And that's something maybe in a balance setting. Typical Libra, I've got Libra in my heart. Can you actually sit and listen to a person where their belief systems are not the same as you? And I think that's going to be a big challenge next year with the North Node in Aquarius. We've got to be careful not to be pack mentality. So I always force myself to do things that are very conflicting. And this person had a set belief system. And I'm always a fence sitter. Maybe because of the Scorpio placements and the Libra, it's like, but I'm always open to hear a person's perspective because I always hope to become more educated, more open, and a better version of myself. So I try not to be in my ego believing I know everything. I will listen. So this person had a troll jump on their channel. I was like, oh my God, back in my day when I started on YouTube, a troll was a compliment. But it toughened my skin because I would take everything personal. It was my daughter that said to me, she goes, oh, Mum, get used to it. It's social media. And as soon as she said that to me, I was like, well, that's true. Because if we can hide behind a screen and troll a channel, A, you don't even know me, and B, I don't know you, and you could be a bot. So why do I care? This person got very passionate and very upset. Scorpio, okay? Why? Because of the placements, Mercury, social media, belief systems, what we share and what we don't. And I think sometimes I remember having a chat to another channel, a spiritual friend. He's no longer on YouTube. But he said to me, how do I do this? And I said, just be yourself. Just be yourself because people connect to a real person. And they want something that's real. They don't want something that's fake. There were, but a lot of very passionate people, and there was a lot of shit as well. I was like, oh my God, it's been a while. I even asked my members, have you found any good channels? I mean, I have my select channels, but I also educate myself constantly. So YouTube for me is my educator. If I'm seeking information, if I'm seeking something to upgrade my skills, I invest in that. Interesting. I have laid off. It's not just readers. I just generally was looking at live, and there happened to be a lot of people live. One was super busy doing something else, not really paying attention to the patrons, and I was like, but aren't you here to talk to them? Another one, again, very in your face. Yeah, it was. You'd have to go through the lives. There was some freaky stuff. There were some great ones as well. Yeah, in 2017 there was a lot. There was a lot of trolls. Used to freak me out at first, and it was like, goodbye. Okay, now next card, and then I'll pull some tarot. The past is now behind you. Release it and embrace new possibilities. A new path is now available for you. Follow it with faith. What's Pisces? It's faith. What is Mercury retrograding in Sagittarius? It's faith. We could have something to do with spiritual guru, something to do with a president or a politician, something to do with growth and other countries, travel, culture. Oh, 3 cards. Yeah. Oh, look, they're different levels. We believe we've done one level, and then it's like Mario Brothers, and then you get to another level, and you're like, oh shit. You get to another. Yeah, it's not just going to be twin flame updates though, because I think where I'm wanting to, and spiritually at the moment, this year has just zapped me. I want to get the energy from here. I need to get one more piece of technology, software rather, because I have upgraded my technology. I've got all Macs. What else have I got? So I've got the technology, I've got the software for streaming, upgrading the website, upgrading the members hub. We need to open the education for e-learning there. And then I'm going to be creating education content based around a lot of areas. Psychic development, because that's the first reason I jumped on YouTube. It was like just giving readings, right? It was like, how am I going to read a zodiac sign? I also studied astrology, chakras, psychic development, but also your twin flame path, obviously, because I've gone through that, and awakening. So it's more, I think, although we can get a tarot reading, if you have the context of why certain things happen, it's actually going to get you there further than a tarot reading. It's not, I'm going to stop them. But I do think those videos from the thousands of clients, as well as 25 years of experience of that department, I think it's going to help you a bit more. It's just about getting the time to actually get it down. I'm also going to be creating some care packages that I can actually give for use if you are having triggers, so it will be a step-by-step guide. It might be like to get you from point A to point B, similar to those examples I was giving you previously. So they're care packages. And we're also going to be hosting some meditation sessions based on where the transits are, what's going to be activating, and giving you a care package after next year. Let's see. Oh, okay. So obviously we're doing it bigger. And the outcome card. Ooh. It's weird because we've got the Hangman as the crowning energy, which is sort of kind of the example I was giving you guys. When you are coherently making a decision to make a sacrifice for an end goal, that is a different thing to you being a victim in the circumstance, okay? So you could feel like you're in between a rock and a hard place, that you're having to sacrifice, that you're never getting anything out of it. Shift your focus onto what you want. And you can give me a few examples of what the subject is for you. Could even be the placement of where Libra is for your birth chart, where that is activating. Remember, emotions will be coming up, but it can be exciting. Some of us can get really cocky all of a sudden and freak ourselves out. It's okay to get freaked out. Just get out of the analysis paralysis and pause. Okay, we're moving away from fear in the past position. The Hangman, making a sacrifice for, and make sure you know what you're going to sacrifice for. Because if you're doing something you don't like now, next year you're going to hate it even more. Because once Saturn moves into position, that grip will tighten, and you want to know that you are doing something that is something for you, something you're good at. Aries is about you within yourself, loving who you are regardless what anybody else is, because you will find your Pluto and Aquarius group mixed with the people who feel they're your tribe. And Aquarius natally, generally, hi Sway, I've missed you. Aquarius is the oddball. They're always ahead of their game, right? So very entrepreneur, very much the individual that is the rebel without a cause, but you kind of have the visionary. You see something before anybody else has seen it. You're the kid that leads the pack but never feels part of it. So Aries is asking you to be able to be around anybody but also know who you are. So when Saturn moves into position, where that is positioned for you next year, shadow energy of Libra is Aries. We're talking about both of those here. This is asking us to balance in that new beginning so that we can move forward, make a sacrifice, but know what you're sacrificing. Because whatever you're moving towards is going to tighten the grip and give you less, but it's going to give you more in the long run. You are going to be blessed by it. So we can be angry or we can pour our energy into, but allow the anger to come up if it doesn't sit with it. Don't react right away. We have Mars and Scorpio. This could be anything down to your marriages, contracts, partnerships, who we're connecting with, planning, renegotiating, wanting to negotiate. If intuitively you are feeling, and it's going retrograde shortly, so you'll probably be in reflection. You'll probably be looking at it going, am I going down the right path? Am I educated enough? Hell yeah. It's probably going to make you get to a point where you're going, maybe I need to upskill. No, you are Jupiter this year. So, marriages, contracts, partnerships. Okay. We are looking at them. What do I do? What way do I go? Can also be subjects to do with marriage. You may need to be the bad guy in a situation. You could even be nice. You may want to try and find a medium way you can do this so that it's fair for all people involved. You're trying to do the right thing, but your soul is calling you to make a decision. All right. You want some balance. But listen to the anger that comes up if there is any. Listen to the passion, listen to the boldness. Because emotionally, what you're going to find is it's important to acknowledge it. It's telling you something about what you're feeling. It's telling you something about where that's coming from. Could also be showing you what the blockage is. Be careful not to manipulate, but do not. Some of you could be coherently aware of a manipulator. And yes, sometimes these can be the ones that love us. But it's okay. It just means you can play chess better. Okay? Because you can, if you effectively have changed, you still can love someone. You still can care for them. You still can be aware that at times they can be quite tactical and manipulative. And you can bat your eyes and go, I see what you're doing. And you still can have your movement, your connection, your contract, your partnership, but you can play chess correctly. So use your intuition in how you're going to address this. If it means keeping your cards close to your chest in the interim, it might mean doing such. But ultimately, you are going to make a decision that is right for you. I hope that helps. And don't freak out. Like at the minute, like I said, yes, I would say with Mercury and Scorpio, be careful of your surroundings. Be careful on the road. Be careful on the road. New laws can come up too. Something to do with the housing. What's moon? Could be new rules, new fairness, new balance. It might be new codes that come in. This could be globally. Might be a housing situation. Yeah. Any questions? So, Mystical Lily, what do you have in your 10th house? Do you know your birth chart? Yeah, there's been a lot of people as well that in the Virgo axis, because it's in the South Node, there's been a lot of career transitions. So it could have been if you were in nursing or, even bookkeeping, nursing, government officials, because they were the paperwork dynamics and what else? Holistic practices as well. It's almost like the Virgo energy doesn't go away, it transforms because it's outdated. It's a new systems. It could also be, new ways they're having to do things now. AI also, Mercury, cars. Yeah. Data, cars, online security, tax, banking, what we value, what we trade with. There you go. So South Node, it goes away. It's very structured. Now, the other thing I can say is we did have the Great Conjunction, 2020. Some of those previous transitions might have gone permanently. So that's where I do look at some of the things that we're moving into technical that are more on the still investigating it with open eyes. I think if something similar to Bitcoin came through now, vibrationally, I could feel that psychically. The previous, prior to that, still in question mark. Not saying no, just investigating. So the housing department changed their name. What degree point was it? I think it's Chiron was in your 10th house. Chiron and Aries. Oh God, your career's going to be dynamite. So have you wanted to actually leave? I changed my YouTube name. Oh, what was it before? I like that, Mystical Lily. Yeah, again, with Jupiter in Cancer, which can be working from home online for some, it's still Jupiter, could be going into teaching, Pluto, North Node moving into Aquarius later. That can be anything to do with astrology, to do with groups, technology, space, science, occult wisdom. Metaphysical. Hi. How you been? Are you looking after yourself? Yeah, but definitely the work situation. I think a lot of us have actually got, that notion that something has to change, something's got to give. And, a lot of us are actually wanting to connect more in with nature, more in with having a bit more personal time, more balance. But I'm going to love you and leave you because I do have to wake up at 3 a.m. But I have mentioned through this video, so if you come late in the train, go back after I've exited stage. And I have mentioned some new things that are directly coming next year. Yeah, I remember. How's your daughter? I remember. Witchy vibe. Yeah, I do look a bit witchy. This is, I need to colour my hair again. So this is the most aesthetically pleasing view. How is Hayley? I got to touch base with you guys. Work has come chaotic for some reason. Will do. Look, because I know a lot of you that are in the chat at the moment, and feel free for any of you that chime in later if you've got a position you want to mention or a question you have to ask. I'm happy to answer it. Uranus will exit on the 7th. So it could be that you reflect back in a different area. You might all of a sudden go, oh, Uranus and Taurus is back. Oh, I want to go back to beauty industry. I would pause. And reflect. There might be something valuable and there might not be. It could be something that you gain. You might even sell some of the things that you had from the previous thing. We're going to be revisiting some of the Taurian themes. And I just have to pre-warn you, your appetite's going to increase. Back off from the cookie jar. We also could have some global events. It could be stock market, but it also can be weather events like lightning, thunder, yes, earthquakes, because it's Uranus. Yeah, and we do have solar flares coming in, but definitely very windy next year, so pre-warned with that one. You had a few more paranormal experiences. Yeah, mine have been pretty intense lately. Yeah, look, I hit the cookie jar, and I swear I'm getting that shadow energy, and I went, look, and I like Taurians. Don't get me wrong. Uranus and Taurus, I don't like that. Plus, it's my South Node. It's like so emotional triggers, eating disorders. Hey, Chris, eating disorders. I was like, I went to bed and I was like, yeah, I'm good. I went, no, I'm not. I'm hungry. And out of nowhere, I'm like, are you serious? I just started hammering cookies. And I went, this Taurus is back. So I knew straight away, whenever I get cravings, it's either a moon in Taurus, Venus in Taurus. Because I actually, I can live without junk, like sweets. It's like, yeah, I'm good. But when that moon comes in, I'm like, I'm about to have some leftover birthday cake. There actually is a cake in the cupboard, in the outdoor fridge. We have a commercial fridge from the wedding. So my sister came and stayed while we went on a quick trip, and she looked after my cat. She loves my cat. My cat just is obsessed with everyone. Providing you're quiet and you'll let her smash your head with love, she will hang out. But she had a birthday cake for her son because he's also a Libra. and she put it in the back fridge, and there's still half there, but I haven't touched it. But I found some Tim Tam biscuits and I smashed them. I mean, and then Twin Canadian goes, "Did you eat those cookies that were left?" I'm like, "Yep, I surely did." It was like this bitch. I'm craving more homemade Mexican. Yeah, I had some tonight. Yeah. Yeah, well, you need to be careful. Like I said, Mars and Scorpio can be food poisoning. You want to be checking that. We need to slow down now. We need to be careful. That's like going to a bar at the moment. You hold your drink with you. It's Scorpio. Hey, I've got Scorpio on my chart. It's okay. I know how this works. You could be super acutely, you'll be like paranoid watching people. You'll notice people. I've had my mother mention something. I've had some clients mention something. Cold cases, I mentioned it. I think there's one, what's the one in Tasmania? I have thought about going back to actually look at the psychic energy and astrology of cold cases. She went missing in Tasmania. It was a tourist, I believe. And there is a YouTuber that's actually doing a video on it. I wouldn't be surprised if there's more missing people that do come up as well. So let me see if there's, I better put mute on just in case a video starts. Celine Creamer, I think it Cremia. I've always been great with pronunciations. Sorry that I'll see if a Belgian traveler. I'll try and share the name here. Copy. This is the person's name. Apologies. So I pulled the chart, and look, there's variables with everything. So the time of missing, the date, the time, the location I pulled, and looking at it, there was a few things, but there's also a different individual. I can't read at the moment. I'm just pulling so if you are saying anything, I'll read back in a minute. And there's a missing boy called Gus, I believe. Gus Lamont. Any more news on him? I haven't looked at it yet. Yeah. So have any of you heard copy? And I'll share that as well. So these two individuals, I'll put it on screen here. I've looked at the chart for this individual. That head's way too big there. And I have looked at the chart for this individual. This one feels sus. This one is going to be found. However, there's a few variables in both charts. One of the variables in this one is a possible serial killer. But there's so many other variables, and I do see. And the hard part is a lot of what was shown in the astrology was actually the physical environment as well. So you've got to go through layer and layer, and it's a bit similar to psychic channeled energy. You may see things that are happening in the future. You might see things that are happening in the past. And you have to decipher that. When you're working with a client, you can do that. When you're channeling, and not even channeling, when you're on the astro plane and you're visually remote viewing, it's a bit different to then having that confirmation from that individual. You get what I'm saying? So there's variables, and you're trying to build the story. It's a bit like when you are channeling and you get the confirmation, it's like your guides will actually unlock the next layer and the next layer. It does become difficult to do that. So all you can do is give variables. in some ways, not completely, not with everything, but there's some levels where it would be variables. So anyway, I'll go back and read the chat. Uber Eats, you crack me up. You binged last night. Hey, how did the renovation go, Dawn? Dawn's getting sexy. She's like renovating queen. By the way, we have an outbreak with small children in school called hand and foot mouse. Yeah, there's going to be more than that. I think Neptune and Aries next year. I did mention we could have also, I mean, if you're a doomsday prepper, we had limitation of eggs during Saturn and Aries. We could have limitation of meat. And these are variables. This is not fact or fiction. It was a reality. We look at the transit. So in the retrograde and direct, what can Aries be? We could have the police and media. Might be a restructuring of anyone that works with fire, the police force, army. Might be new rules, regulations, new restructuring. 3 years. Yeah. Could be anything down to the right to bear arms, those things changing, shifting about. You're sore as heck. Just imagine where the muscles have grown back, Dawn. You're going to be like, hey, hey, hey. But the paint job looks pretty good. Was it enamel-based paint? She got the spray out, girl. Look, I got this rack for, I have this cabinet I've restored. I don't know if I got my phone here. I did some restoring of this cabinet, and I'm an I get if I start something, I have to finish it. I get very frustrated. It's a bit of my ADHD going on there. I'm the type of person that doesn't tend to look at a problem and go, hey, there's a problem, I can't fix it. I will find a way. So this cabinet was secondhand, but it was more based on the fact that I needed some storage. And it was like, I can flip that. I literally said to, I think she heard the name of her channel is still Deb Does Readings. Has she changed it? Let me check. Deb Does Readings. She's supposed. P.S. Deb is going live tonight, so if you do want to go over there and grab a tarot reading, she's going to be live. So anyway, I restored this cabinet, and then I stood back and I was like, you know what? I actually want to make that a wine rack. So the good thing is it actually does have, try and get the right angle because of the light. So it has a glass hutch. Now, I have been on YouTube since late 2016, and I have learned a lot about Americans. And I love yours to bits. And it's been very educational, this relationship that we've been sharing. So, to my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, us Aussies, we actually don't mind a cabinet with a hutch. It's the light. Yeah, you still can't see it. So anyway, there you go. You can there. So I've basically, the side of this hair was worn. I had to refurbish the side. When you do actually sand it back to the wood, there's 2 types of wood grain on it. I'll share it in a minute. There's 2 types of wood grain. So basically the reason I got it is because I had storage issues and I wanted to military Military people love German hutches. Anyway, so I love hutches, okay? And I can build cabinets. I intend to completely because I do not like Discord. Not the actual app. I don't like mess. I need function. It's got to be practical. I want to be able to know where I can go to go grab them because my life is so fucking busy. So in my opinion, when I have storage and it's a little bit like you put the junk in the trunk and you have the pretty face. It's such a Libra, really. It's like, I'm just going to hide all the crap down below, and up here it's real pretty, but it's still functional. So that's why I like them. But I have noticed that on some of the flips that I've seen on YouTube from America, they split the 2.5, which I can say very resourceful, but I think they look great together. And I don't know, some people are probably going to go back to that vintage energy. And some are going to flip to the opposite. It's almost like, and we said this with Pluto and Aquarius, some are going to go into gated communities. Others are going to go into the AI world. And can we find a healthy balance between both? Possibly. Hutch is great. I love them. Yeah. So anyway, I decided I wanted to have some hanging wine glasses, some down lights, making a display rack, even though technically you shouldn't have wine on an angle. It would be wine I drink. So I can have that at the bottom, displayed lovely. And then Deb does rates, we laughed and I sent her a photo and she goes, I also want to preserve some flowers. And I said, maybe I should open a channel that's all this DIY. Do enough of that. So did you know you can preserve flowers in glycerine? Did you know? FYI. So that's the inside of the cabinet, and I want it a chocolate brown on the inside. And I'm sort of having a slanted shelf at the bottom. And I'm going to put the wine down the bottom. We also made an Ottoman coffee table. I was like, I was looking for a tray. My Ottoman is massive. It's almost, see, this is what I mean. I have to be American. Okay, so it is in foot because you guys it's 4. It's almost 5 foot. Okay, my Ottoman's large. Let's just break it down to that size. It's about 5 foot. It's bloody huge. So if you're trying to get a tray on it, yeah, Deb does rates. If you're trying to put, I'll share a referral link. Oh no, not that one. Copy. I don't know if it'll come up here, but I'll give it a go. So this, I saw one and I was like, you know what? Yeah, if you want to use StreamYard, you can go there too. That wasn't the link I was supposed to share. But yeah, if you want to use StreamYard, go for it. Paste there. That is Deb's channel. So this Ottoman, what I wanted was, I was looking for a tray, and I was like, geez, the trays I was finding that was large enough for it, whereby we could put a coffee cup on it, etc. It was like, that's pretty pricey too. And I was going down the rabbit hole going, yeah, I could make that. A beautiful display tray, a little bit like Oprah Winfrey with her grand coffee tables. And then I was like, and then I came across, surely there is a coffee table. So I could have the combination of a coffee table on rollers. So if I was to have a drink or have a meal and I just wanted to watch a movie, I could have that. And my partner could have one too. And we came up with a theory of creating a coffee table over the Ottoman on wheels so they would actually cross over. So we have made one so far, which has turned out quite well. And that is the 3 meter Oh, 4 to 5 foot Ottoman coffee table. Yes. So anyway, your DIYs are going to come up due to the fact that we do have Jupiter and Cancer. You're going to feel like you want to upskill. You're going to feel like you want to level up your house. And that's collectively. There could be lots of subjects to do with mothers and parents. Jupiter also can usher you to want to return to your homeland. So it could be you want to go home, or it might be questioning where your home is. It might be you're looking at a passport, especially during Mercury retrograde. It's like, you know, if you're traveling, expect delays, expect cross wires, make sure your ticket's booked. Take extra time. You could be delayed. You might get stuck because it's Mercury retrograde. So be aware of that as well. Okay. If you do have any questions after this, feel free that you can ask them. Keep an eye on the channel. If you are new, a very warm welcome. I hope to see you again, and hopefully we will have some updates. And tell me how this transition of the new moon actually goes for you.